Hey Kimberly, this is a private little video that I'm going to do for you to highlight this fabulous Husqvarna 19E special. And I'll kind of walk you around the machine a little bit as well, give you a close look at it. But if I come out in this shot, you can see straight away, it's no wonder that everybody wants one of these. They are just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And this one has not even been polished yet. I went over the paint and cleaned it up, but I didn't actually give it that final luster that it's going to have eventually. So let me do this. Let me come off of the tripod and I'll give you a walk around the machine first. That way you and your husband can see the machine up close. I don't remember that video I did real clear, but I believe that this one is actually prettier than that one that was in the video that you may have seen. It is just drop dead gorgeous. And the lay of the land on this machine is so simple. Feed dog drop right here, stitch width, stitch length, reverse is right there, and then this is simply needle position. And then because it's a special, as you can see right here, the cams, instead of having to be inserted, as you probably already know from watching the video, are all controlled by this cam stack right on the rear. It's as simple as choosing whether you want a 3-point zigzag, a zigzag, or a blind hem stitch, and that's it. And I'll actually demonstrate that, but I already did a pre-sew off just to give you a glimpse of what those stitches look like. Right here, obviously the first one's a straight stitch, then a zigzag, then a 3-point zigzag, and then a blind hem stitch. And you can obviously change the length of these and get a very dramatic difference as far as how they look. But this machine, after I've gotten done with it, is sewing to perfection, both the top stitch and also the lock stitch as well. Is just absolutely spectacular. And this right here, if you don't recognize it, which if you don't work a lot with leather, you probably don't, but this is protected full grain leather, which means it has a special coating on it to protect it from stains and also to make it a little bit more wear resistant. So the piercing threshold on this single layer of protected full grain leather is the equivalent of a much thicker piece of leather because of the way that it's processed. Okay? So let me move this to the side and get back up on the tripod. And this obviously, I'll just show you as well, this is obviously the extension bed. I'll take that off and show you that free arm as well. But it's a real simple machine to operate, and again, because it's a Husqvarna, it's built like a tank. But it's not heavy to carry either, and I do have a carrying case for it as well. Although you probably suspected that. So if I want to take off the extension bed, which is a wonderful workspace, the harp space is huge. The overall extension bed for turning material is one of the best out of any machine that was made in the 1950s, quite honestly. So there's a little release right down here that I'm grabbing. You just slide it off, and then you have access immediately to the free arm itself. And again, from an industry standpoint, this is a much smaller free arm in circumference, which means you can fit it in a lot more situations than you can the ones that are much wider, like some of the Kenmores and that have a much meatier and a much girthier type free arm. It's harder to get some smaller cuffs in that over that. And then to put it back on, you just kind of lift your thread up, slide it on, and then just kind of lock it into place. Of course, when you're on camera, it's always a little bit more difficult. There we go. So the first thing I'll do is just a regular straight stitch. I'll basically duplicate what I did on the other sew off, and also turn down the holiday music so you can listen to this machine run. And let's also zoom in on the needle so you can watch it sew. Okay, so first of all, a straight stitch, and then we'll just go down the full line of stitches. And always when you launch, it's just a real good principle to follow. Always make sure your take-up arm is at the highest position so that there's no binding and it just flows beautifully into stitching. Otherwise, on some machines, including Husqvarna's, you'll sometimes get a little bit of a delay and that'll create a bird nesting. We don't want that. So, all right, let's launch into it. A single line of straight stitching. Listen real closely to the machine run. Other than my clunky feet down on the foot controller, it's just running silky smooth right now. So you can see that straight away. Beautiful, beautiful straight stitching. We'll look at all these closer up when we're done. So the next thing I'm going to do is a zigzag next to it, just like I did on the other sample that I showed you. I'll just check on the back to make sure that I have it set on zigzag. Because I was doing all of these stitches. I have it on the blind hem right now. Okay, now I have it on the zigzag. And the only thing I have to do to set it up for sewing, other than just changing the cam setting on the back, is, and I'll come out on this shot to show you, is I'll leave my needle position alone. My length, my stitch length is on 4 right now. I can take that down a little bit, and I will. I'll take it down to 3. And then you have to move your stitch width over to somewhere between 1 and 4. I'll just go ahead and set it on 4 because I like a nice wide stitch. That's it. And now we're ready to do a regular zigzag to go alongside of this straight stitch. All right, and I've got a dancing camera. This camera usually moves a little bit after I stop it. All right, so a standard zigzag now. And if you're looking at the bed and saying, boy, the lighting is really fantastic, I put LEDs in all of my machines, whether it's a Husqvarna, Kenmore, Elna, Singer, doesn't matter. Because the brightness of the light is about 2.5 to 3 times and significantly less heat, which really is nice in the summertime especially. All right, so now a standard zigzag. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. I think you can see that in the shot. And now the next one I'm going to lay down next to it is a 3-point zigzag, which I think is really a cool looking stitch. It really is. I love the 3-point zigzag a lot. It's just a more fancy, kind of a decorative looking almost stitch, the way it presents. All right, let me get this back into place. So we'll change it to a 3-point zigzag now. And I'm also going to shorten my stitch length a little bit just to give it a more decorative, ornamental type look. I'm going to take it down to about, the stitch length is coming down to 2.5, and then my stitch width will go back up to 4 again. All right, here goes the 3-point zigzag. I love this stitch, fantastic. Here we go. Could have even made that shorter, but it's a fantastic stitch, isn't it? As a matter of fact, I'll probably shorten it up and just sew it one more time because I'm really fond of this stitch, as you've gathered. And I think you will be as well. It'll be a favorite stitch of yours. Even though you initially were saying, hey, I really don't need a zigzag, you're going to be like, well, I don't need a zigzag, but this 3-point zigzag, sign me up. So let's sew that same stitch just one more time, and I'm going to shorten it up quite a bit just to show you how drastically you can change the look of stitches, which I think is really cool. All right, one more time, 3-point zigzag, significantly shorter. And I've got to get that take-up arm all the way up. Here we go. That's what I like. I could even go shorter than that. This machine can sew at a level that's so much greater than the Singers when it comes to the length of the stitches and also the shortness of the stitches as well. So there you can see what we've done thus far. We've got the straight stitch, we've got the zigzag, we've got the 3-point zigzag, and then we have the shorter 3-point zigzag just above it. We've almost created like a mountain range, haven't we? Super cool. Not to mention fabulous lock stitching as well on the back. All right, so the last stitch we have on this 19E special is a blind hem stitch, and that's what we'll sew next. And I'll keep this short too. I think blind hem stitches that are a little bit more condensed are kind of cool looking. All right, so here goes a blind hem stitch on this 19E special. Here we go. That is drop dead gorgeous. I hope you can see that in the shot. And we'll look at these again a little bit more close up. But that is just a phenomenal blind hem. And again, depending on the length that you use, you could even make it a stretch blind hem as well. All right, now I'll zoom in on these. We'll take a look at these. And then I'm going to show you this slow gear in action, which I think is one of the really cool features and very, very unique to this model. Come in right about there, I think. Kind of go across, let you look at that stitching. We'll look at those top 2 rows a little bit closer in. Next 2 rows. I think we'll look at the next 3 rows, that way we don't have to do it twice. Fabulous. Totality of the stitching, as I love saying. That is what I refer to as page 34, which means as near to perfection as you can get. The way this machine is running right now, it's executing this stitching at a level that is way above any other Husqvarna that has not gone through this workshop. And, you know, if you're looking to sew leather, you want near perfection. And I never say perfection because anything can be improved. And I'm always working to make it better. So, but these are absolutely brag-worthy stitches. I hope you agree. So now I'm going to demonstrate this slow gear for you. I'm going to move this to the side. And again, the benefit of the slow gear is to slow things down from full speed all the way down to 1/5 of the speed. And it's done so easily. Right now we're looking at the machine All I do is go over to where the bobbin is wound over here, and I reach out and grab this little ring and pull it straight out. I'm going to do it so I don't block the camera. So I just pulled it out. Now it's in. Now it's out. And that right away brings it down to 1/5 of the speed. And now we're going to go over to our controls over here. We don't have to do a thing with our needle position. I'm just going to leave it where it is. But our stitch length, I'm going to go ahead and extend that out a little bit further to right around probably 2. And then I'm going to change my stitch on the rear as well. I think we're going to go with that 3-point zigzag, which I'm so fond of. There we go. 3-point zigzag. Bring our stitch width back over to 4. What I do, because it frees up the mechanism in the machine and allows the transitions to be so much smoother, is I always make it a point to recalibrate the stitch width. All I do is when I'm changing things on the back, I'll take it down to 0, I'll move my knob, and then I just move this back to 4. It's a real simple thing to do. Alright, so our slow gear is engaged. Now we're going to go and see what that looks like when it's in motion. I'll leave it right about there, because we're going to be sewing around and around and around and around. Start right about there, I think. And I am going to be laying down a 3-point zigzag, so on some of these corners when I go down and around, I may stop, lower that needle, raise that presser foot, and just rotate the material. It'll just make it a little bit easier on me. But listen to this machine run when it's in the slow gear. You can hear it right away ratcheted down so that you're able to have maximum control, which I think is fabulous. All right, you ready? Here we go. And I will cheat a little bit and lower that needle down. I think I'll turn it just a little bit more. Now I'm going to put the foot controller all the way down, just so you can see how much it slows the machine down. So that is almost at max speed with the slow gear, which is dramatically slower than it would be if you didn't have that slow gear engaged. I'm just going to finish off my line of stitching right here, and then I'll buzz down the middle with the slow gear off so you can see the difference. Well, I think you know the difference already. Perfect. Raise that up. Look over my shoulder and see what you can see. So this is the stitching that we just did. I'll kind of turn it on the side. Beautiful, beautiful straight stitching. Actually, incorrect. It's not straight stitching. It's actually that 3-point zigzag, but I've got it quite a bit wider and longer than we did it originally. But beautiful stitching, and then also the lock stitch as well on this protected full grain leather is just spot on. We'd have to zoom in real close to look at it because of the nap factor, but it's a gorgeous lock stitch as well. So now, without the slow gear on, I'm going to try to buzz down and show you the speed difference. You saw how slow we were able to operate it there. Now I'm going to try to buzz down and around, and it's going to be a lot tougher, to say the least. All right, here we go. Really can't tell the speed. I'm really holding it back with that foot controller. And I decided to shoot this video versus just sending you a bunch of pictures, because it gives you a better feeling for the machine. How easy it is to use, how it sounds, just the general feeling of it. It's kind of like a virtual tour of the machine versus still shots where you really don't get any of that feeling. All right, I'll kind of balance it right there, and I'll zoom in on it so you can see these stitches up close a little bit more clearly. And then I'll put the one that we did before that right in front of it so you can look at all of the stitching together. Kind of see it there already. So this is what we just did right here. Beautiful 3-point zigzag. I probably could have made that a lot shorter, and it gives it even more of a defined look. And then we did this one before, demonstrating all of the stitch output for this 19E special. So this is the 19E special. I'm very fond of this model. I told you when we were talking earlier, it's more rare than the 21s or the 20 series green machines that Husqvarna made. Also, it has a 1 amp motor, and when I get done working on the motor, it's going to peak even higher than that, right around 1.2, versus the 201-2 that you were really curious about, that has only a 0.5 amp motor. So this thing will peak at almost 2.5 to 3 times the power of a 201-2. Plus it has the jam-free raceway, it's got the slow gear, it's got huge bed space, a large harp space to work with as well for turning projects, and it's got that Swedish engineering, which is the best in the world, quite honestly. So there you go. I hope this was helpful in kind of showcasing this great machine. Again, it will come with a case. I always include other goodies with it as well, just because I really want to, give that customer every opportunity to enjoy the machine. Plus it'll come with an original or a reprint instruction manual as well. So Kimberly, welcome to Sweden. Welcome to Sweden. It really is a fabulous machine, and hopefully this was helpful in giving you even greater clarity into the machine specifically that can be yours. Otherwise, it's going to be somebody else's. I won't have any trouble selling this beauty, that's for sure. So, beautiful stitching, beautiful machine. I hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, all right. I'll give you one more walk around the machine, just to get you up close and personal. This is how you access the light right here. There's that real bright LED light. If I switch it off just temporarily. Faceplate opens here, and this is where you can adjust your presser foot pressure. Husqvarna, Sweden, yeah. And again, the layout of the machine is very simple. Upper tension here, needle position here, stitch length, reverse, stitch width, feed dog drop. That's it. And then right over here you got your bobbin winder. If you're going to wind a bobbin, you just come right off the top here. This right here, you would feed the thread through there, go around that tensioner down there, and then put your bobbin right here. The other cool thing about this machine, and I didn't specifically show it to you, is it also has an auto clutch disengagement where you slide a bobbin on here, and instead of having to disengage a stop action or something like that on most sewing machines, as soon as you slide that bobbin on, it disengages the clutch. So you wind your bobbin, as soon as you take it off, the clutch automatically re-engages again. So really a cool feature and very unique to this machine. And again, the stitch quality, stitching to me is everything. This is the stitching I did for you live on this private premiere showing. Since you're going to be making me stuffing, you know, hey, you know, got to take care of folks. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. And then we did this one to demonstrate the maneuverability of the machine and the slow gear action. Slow gear is just fabulous on this model. Yeah, and then I did these off camera before I started this premiere. Same stitches, look a little bit differently because I set up the stitch length a little bit differently. But I'll tell you one thing, if you get a machine like this, you are quite honestly going to be the envy of everyone. Everyone that sees a Viking like this, a Husqvarna, do its magic, immediately falls in love with it. And that's why I call them Swedish beauties. They are just, they're sweet! So, this is your machine. Yeah, you don't even have to pick it up. I'll ship it to you. Yeah, so talk to your husband. I think that that is always the best way. But this is an investment. This is a machine that comes with a limited lifetime warranty. If someone doesn't throw it into a bathtub out of an airplane or beat it with a stick, if something goes wrong with it while that owner has that machine, I'm going to do everything to take care of them. And again, the motors are absolute bulletproof. Never ever have I had a Swedish beauty have a motor fail on it. I had that foot controller fail for a net down in Texas, but that's because she was doing the wrong thing. That's why you have a slow gear, is to manage speed, not to try to do it with the foot controller. And the foot controllers on these are just phenomenal. Let me show it to you. They're like a racing style pedal, and they've got the original Royal Crest on it. Again, I haven't done all the cleaning on this yet, so if you see a little speck of dirt or something like that, it's because I still have to go over the machine. As spectacular as it looks, it can get better. Yeah, it can. So, at any rate, hope this was helpful. And there you go. So, digest, reflect, conversation with your husband. Let me know what you want to do. But otherwise, I will be putting this up for sale pretty doggone quick, and first come, first serve. So I'll wait to do that until Monday. Yeah, till Monday. All right, take care. Bye.